This is Amain Fujimiya, a boy who returns home from shopping and happens to run into his angelic classmate, Mahiro Shina. When Amain notices her crying alone, he approaches her and uses his umbrella to cover her head from the rain. He also tells her that he is worried about her getting cold, so he leaves his umbrella for her, to which she secretly thanks him. As a result, he caught a cold from the rain the next day. When Amain returns to his apartment, he notices Mahiro waiting for him to return his umbrella, which concerns her because he has a fever. As his fever worsens, Mahiro decides to return the favor. When he opens the door, she is surprised to see how messy his apartment is. So she asks Amain to change his clothes first while she goes to her apartment, which is right next to his. Following that, Amain awakens from his deep sleep to find Mahiro taking care of him and offering him her home-cooked porridge. She also asks him to check his body temperature, and he immediately lifts his shirt, making her feel embarrassed. When Amain receives her cooking, he is impressed with her cooking ability. After he finishes eating, he suddenly asks her about the rain incident, thinking she is arguing with her boyfriend. When she hears that, she tells him she has no boyfriend and despises the nickname Angel that everyone at school gives her. Because Amain is feeling better, he declares that their status at school will remain as strangers, to which she also agrees. The next morning, Amain accidentally walks by Mahiro's class, where he notices how popular she is. That night, Amain is drinking a jelly drink while Mahiro scolds him for skipping dinner. Suddenly, Mahiro knocks his room and offers him her leftover food, which she finds pathetic given his lifestyle. The next morning, he returns the container to her, and she offers another meal for tonight's dinner. He refuses her food, but she insists on accepting it because she makes too much for dinner. Since then, she has been handing him food containers, including the next day and the day after that. Amain's friend, Itsuki, notices that he is looking healthier as a result of his improved diet. After school, Mahiro visits Amain's apartment, where she finds him struggling to clean his messy room. So she decides to assist him in cleaning the apartment. When they are both cleaning up, Mahiro slips away and Amain immediately saves her, which she believes he wants this accident to happen every day. After they finish cleaning, Amain treats her by ordering a delivery pizza. She reveals that she has never had pizza because her parents are wealthy enough to hire a private chef at her home. As Mahiro is about to leave, Amain suddenly asks her about the benefits of sharing her dinner with him every day, and she tells him that she doesn't feel comfortable seeing him eat unhealthy foods, so it's for her own self-satisfaction. The following day, Amain discovers Mahiro in the park with a sprained ankle. So he rushes over with a first aid kit to treat her injury. He then carries her back home, dressed in his PE uniform, in case she is afraid of being recognized by others. As a result, Amain wears short pants to PE class. Later, Mahiro returns the PE uniform he lent her and thanks him with a meal. He also mentions that he'd like to eat freshly prepared meals from her, to which she suggests splitting the cost and having her cook in his apartment. She also believes that she isn't Amain's type, so she tells him that he isn't a threat to her. So, starting tomorrow, she will go grocery shopping and cook at his apartment, where Amain considers her to be his wife. When dinner is ready, he is impressed with her cooking and finds everything to be delicious. After washing the dishes, he discovers that Mahiro is studying so diligently that she always maintains her high grades. When she finishes her studies and decides to return home, she unintentionally leaves her student card on the table, which she discovers 4 days before Mahiro's birthday. The next day, he secretly asks Mahiro about an item she is currently in need of. So she thinks and responds that she needs a sharpening stone, which surprises him. After class, he asks Itsuki for a birthday present idea, and he suggests giving her hand cream. Then he begs Itsuki's girlfriend, Chitose, to accompany him shopping, which she gladly agrees to do. After that, Amain tries to sit next to her on the couch, and gives her his birthday gift. When she opens the gift, she finds a hand cream to protect her hands from practical things. She then receives a cute teddy bear, which she finds adorable. Mahiro admits that she never celebrates her birthday because she doesn't accept gifts from strangers. She explains that she accepts his gift because Amain isn't a stranger to her. The next morning, Amain's mother unexpectedly pays him a visit to his apartment, where she notices that it is clean. When she notices the dishes for two, she goes into his bedroom and discovers a cute Mahiru sleeping beside his bed. As a result, his mother believes they are in a relationship, in which he has his mother's full support. Soon after, Mahiru awakens from her sleep, and she nervously informs his mother that they are just friends. However, she refuses to believe them. After she leaves, Mahiru tells Amain that his mother is a kind and cheerful mother, and she reveals that her own parents never called her by her first name. So they decide to call each other by their first names only in private. She then returns his spare key to his house, but he asks her to keep it because he trusts her. When Mahiru receives first place in the school exams, Amain surprises her by giving her a cake to celebrate. Mahiru then enjoys eating her cake, which she later feeds him, and they both end up feeding each other bites of cake but quickly realize that it is embarrassing. Amain decides to cook his lunch for himself today, so Mahiru assists him by supervising him while he cooks. So he starts making scrambled eggs, and Mahiru tries his cooking, which turns out to be bland. Mahiru is relieved that he still needs her to cook for him. Meanwhile, Itsuki and Chitose try to convince Amain to host a Christmas Eve party at his apartment. Mahiru, on the other hand, decides to spend her time alone in his apartment until the party is over, but asks Amain to teach her how to play video games on Christmas Day. When Chitose and Itsuki arrive at Amain's house, they notice snow falling on the balcony and decide to watch it from there. They are shocked to see Mahiru doing the same thing on her own balcony next door, and they discover that Mahiru is Amain's neighbor. As a result, Amain and Mahiru explain their living situation to Itsuki and Chitose, who still don't trust Amain because he has no feelings for Mahiru, but they promise not to reveal their secret. Itsuki and Chitose also introduce themselves to Mahiru as they become friends. After the party, Amain and Mahiru are having beef stew for dinner, which she reveals she learned to make from the woman who looks after her. As they are planning to play video games on Christmas, he teaches her how to play, which they both find embarrassing. When Mahiru completes the game, Amain gives her a Christmas present, which she opens to reveal a pretty key case in which she can keep her spare key. She then unexpectedly removes Amain's bangs from his face and discovers that he is actually quite attractive. He does the same thing to her and notices how beautiful she is. Because they are both panicking, Mahiru gives him a warm scarf. When Mahiru walks out to the balcony, she suddenly sneezes, and Amain quickly wraps her in a coat to keep her warm. They are also grateful for knowing each other while enjoying gazing at the stars. Mahiru develops a fever the next day, so Amain asks her to rest on his bed while he takes care of her. Because she refuses to rest, Amain cradles her in his arms and carries her to his bed. While she is resting, he unexpectedly holds her hands until she falls asleep. After feeling a little better, Mahiru tells him that nobody has ever looked after her like this before because her housekeeper always went home at the end of the day. As a result, she always feels alone when she is sick at night. Hearing her story, Amain promises to accompany her until she is fully recovered. While holding her hand as she sleeps, he's angry at himself for falling in love with her. As the year passes, they both send New Year's greetings. Suddenly, Amain's parents arrange to visit him on New Year's Day, and Mahiru falls asleep in his arms before he can tell her the news, forcing him to put her in his bed while he sleeps on the sofa. The next morning, Mahiru isn't awake yet, so Amain tries to wake her up by touching her cheeks. When she begins to awaken, she is surprised to see him and finds it embarrassing that he is touching her cheeks while she is sleeping. Soon after, Amain's parents arrive at his apartment, and they decide to invite them to the shrine. Amain is still concerned that their schoolmates will notice them together, so his mother dresses Mahiru in a cute traditional yukata, which he admires for its beauty. Mahiru, on the other hand, compliments him on his maturity. On their way to the temple, Mahiru tells him that she is not used to wearing yukata, so Mahiru holds Amain's arm to keep her from falling. After they finish praying, Amain's parents decide to return home because they have work to do. Amain promises to visit them in the summer and brings Mahiru with him. The next day at school, Amain hears a rumor about Mahiru visiting a shrine with a secret boyfriend, whom no one knows is Amain. As a result, Amain tries to warn her that being seen with him is bad for her. Tired of hearing his low opinion of himself, she scolds him and lists all the things she likes about him. Hearing her confess, Amain is surprised that Mahiru has such a positive impression of him. As she is embarrassed by her own words, she covers her face with a pillow. As Valentine's Day approaches, Chitose asks Amain for advice on chocolate gifts. She also reveals that she intends to give him chocolate, despite the fact that he isn't a big fan of sweets. Mahiru, on the other hand, only gives chocolate to the female students in her class. The following day, Amain notices his popular classmate, Yuta, receiving a lot of chocolates from many girls, so he approaches him and lends him his plastic bag to carry them all. When Amain returns home, Mahiru makes him a hot chocolate, which he clearly enjoys it. He soon notices her attempting to make hot chocolate for Valentine's Day, which embarrasses her, and decides to return home quickly. When he tries to close the door, he discovers a paper bag from her containing handmade chocolate for him. Yuta returns Amain's plastic bag, causing some gossip between them. After school, Amain decides to give Mahiru a white day gift in exchange for the chocolate she has made, despite the fact that Mahiru insists she doesn't need it. Then Mahiru asks about his birthday, which irritates her because he doesn't tell her despite the fact that they already knew each other at the time. So she makes sure that they get to celebrate it this year, which Amain interprets as a promise to remain together. After a month, Amain gives her a cute flower bracelet and a do-whatever-you-want coupon for White's Day. Mahiru immediately redeems her coupon, requesting that he place the bracelet on her hand. When Amain puts it on, he is surprised to see how cute she looks in it. Amain is having difficulty suppressing his emotions, and Itsuki correctly concludes that his fear of rejection is holding him back. Mahiru has been waiting for Amain to return home. When he accidentally touches her hand while looking for his bracelet, he forgets that she dislikes being touched, but she reveals that she doesn't mind if Amain does it. So he rushes to his room, worried that Mahiru is acting like a young wife. Itsuki fights with his father about Chitose, so he plans to stay at least 3 days at Amain's place. Mahiru cooks them dinner as well, and Itsuki finds him very lucky to eat her cooking. When they are both about to go to sleep, Itsuki fails to get Amain to confess his feelings about Mahiru. After Chitose finds out that Itsuki gets to eat Mahiru's cooking, she decides to try Mahiru's cooking and stay over at Mahiru's apartment. So they are having omurice for dinner, for which they approve of Mahiru's delicious cooking. When Amain finishes taking a bath, Chitose suddenly sends him a photo in which Mahiru is sleeping with his teddy bear. The next day, Itsuki and Chitose finally leave their apartment, and Amain reveals that he saw a picture of her with his teddy bear, which she cares for and treasures. When Amain decides to return to his apartment, he notices Mahiru is being visited by a woman who turns out to be Mahiru's mother. She informs her that she will not return after Mahiru graduates from university. After she has left, Amain approaches her and invites her to stay at his apartment. So she begins to tell him about her family's situation, in which her parents married for business reasons and Mahiru was born by accident. Since then, she has rarely seen her parents return home, so she has been raised by her housekeeper. No matter how hard she tried to do well in school, they still ignored her. Her parents will divorce shortly after she graduates from university. She became numb when her mother told her she was an unwanted child and ended up sitting on a swing in the rain. Amain is surprised to hear her story, so she covers her head and lets her cry on him, comforting and reassuring her until she feels better. Because they are embarrassed to be hugging for so long, they decide to go for a walk, confirming their need for each other while cuddling under the cherry blossom trees. As the new semester begins, Amain finds himself in the same class as Mahiru. Yuta walks over to his desk, and they start talking a lot. Meanwhile, Mahiru notices Amain's hair is very soft to the touch and invites him to sleep on her lap while she strokes his hair. He realizes she is worried about him, and he falls asleep on her lap. After he awakens, Mahiru makes it clear that he is the only one who can see this side of her. After returning from the arcade, Amain wins a lot of stuffed animals for Mahiru, who adores them all. Because he is always giving her things, she asks him if he would like anything in return. Amain asks her to make him a pudding, which she promises will be the most delicious pudding ever. Despite her dissatisfaction with his choice, she later becomes embarrassed when he insists that her cooking is the highlight of his day. The next day, Yuta asks Amain and Itsuki if he can join them for lunch, which they actually don't mind. Mahiru is envious of his ability to speak to Amain in public, so she starts interacting with him at school and ends with a cooking project with Itsuki and Chitose. As they cook together with their team, Chitose teases Mahiru and Amain like newlyweds. When everything is ready, they decide to plate their dishes. Meanwhile, the other students are messing around in the kitchen, almost burning Mahiru with hot soup, but Amain saves her from being scalded. While Amain scolds his friends for their misbehavior, Mahiru notices him holding her in public, causing jealous looks from many people. Since then, she has hoped to become even closer to Amain in class, as he has promised not to abandon his friend alone. Amain and Mahiru will soon have a week off from school, and Mahiru is unsure how she will spend her time. So she takes out her coupon and asks him to go out with her. Amain agrees to Mahiru's request and plans to visit the cat cafe, shopping, and arcade. Before they enjoy their school break, Mahiru gives Chitose a cooking lesson. While they are cooking at his apartment, Amain becomes sleepy and falls asleep. After Chitose leaves, Mahiru confesses to him that she squished his cheeks asleep while he is sleeping. Because she had so much fun squishing his cheeks, he tries to squish back to her. As they prepare for their day out, Amain is surprised to see a cute Mahiru dress up and style her hair differently. Before they visit the cafe, he offers his hand to hold her hand. When they arrive, Amain observes that Mahiru is similar to the cat in that she was once unfriendly to him but is now more affectionate toward him. They then go shopping, where Amain finds a cute dress and asks her to try it on. While she is trying, Amain is approached by two girls who ask him to go out with them. Mahiru appears unexpectedly, grabs his arm, and walks away from the girls. At the arcade, Mahiru wins a stuffed cat and decides to give it to him because he likes the cat. When Amain wants to pat her head, they are unexpectedly approached by Yuta, who quickly concludes what is going on. So they explain the situation to him and ask him to keep it a secret. Amain makes another negative comment about himself, causing Mahiru to scold him and encourage him to have more confidence in himself. The next day, Yuta tells Amain that girls don't stay with guys they don't like unless they feel completely comfortable with him. So he asks him directly if he likes Mahiru, which leaves him speechless. When Amain returns home, he finds Mahiru hiding his childhood photo, which his mother had emailed to her. Amain tries to take Mahiru's phone from her, but Mahiru pushes him, causing him to fall on top of her and almost kiss her. Instead of kissing her, he pinches her cheek. So she unlocks her phone and hands it over to him, while Mahiru secretly looks disappointed. As Mother's Day approaches, Mahiru questions Amain about his decision to live alone rather than with his parents. He finally tells her that when he was in middle school, he had 3 friends who manipulated him for money. He couldn't trust anyone after that, so he left his hometown. Hearing that, Mahiru wants him to rely on her, and she will understand his sadness and try to support him more. At the class, Mahiru is approached by her classmates, who question her about walking with a guy at the mall. So Mahiru confirms to them that she goes out with the most important person in her life, which surprises Amain. Later, she emphasizes to him that she has no feelings for her parents and that all she has are her friends, of which Amain is the most cherished. Soon after, Amain dreams of sleeping over with Mahiru, which causes him to act strangely toward her. Because Amain's cold behavior is upsetting her, he tells her about his embarrassing dream, which she finds hilarious. As the exam approaches, Mahiru challenges Amain that if he finishes in the top 10, she will do anything he asks. So he asks her to let him lie on her lap again, as he has done previously. Soon after, they come to Amain's apartment to do a group study, which they enjoy doing together. When their friends return home, Mahiru reveals that she loves taking care of him. Hearing the word love makes him unable to handle her words. In the end, Amain comes in 6th place in the exams. He insists that she deserves a reward for coming in first, but she refuses because she wants something that he cannot provide. As a promise to him, she asks her to place his head in her lap while she cleans his ears. After she's finished cleaning, she begins stroking his hair as he falls asleep. When Amain awakens, he discovers that she has fallen asleep as well. So he tries to wake her up, but she is sound asleep, forcing him to carry her back to her apartment. Because Mahiru is half asleep, she asks Amain to sleep beside her, but he refuses and instead gives her a teddy bear. The next morning, Amain returns her apartment key and tells Mahiru about last night's incident, which makes her extremely embarrassed. As summer approaches, Mahiru shows him her summer uniform, but Amain advises her not to wear it without tights. She then admits that she's glad to show him her summer uniform before anyone else, which makes him blush. While Amain and Yuta are assisting Mahiru with their teacher's work, they overhear the girls gossiping about Mahiru for being flirtatious with the boys. After hearing them, Amain is upset, but she accepts it as a natural reaction to her famous personality. She's also sick of trying to please everyone and prefers to be herself, which Amain thinks is a good thing. She also finds it cute that he is quite possessive of the real her. Because she is constantly attempting to seduce him, Amain threatens to silence her with a kiss if she continues to tease him. Mahiru unexpectedly pulls him in and kisses him on the cheek. She then flees, leaving him speechless after the kiss. At school, they become awkward with each other, which makes Itsuki concerned that they are fighting. As they return home, Amain and Mahiru discuss yesterday's kiss, which they both agree was meaningless. They then talk about sports day, where they will compete in a scavenger hunt. While they are talking, Amain spoons his ice cream to her, and she opens her mouth to enjoy the sweetness. Before the competition begins, Chitose informs him that she is the organizer of the scavenger hunt. So she secretly arranges the game in order for Amain and Mahiru to be together. Despite being on different teams, they join hands and work together to reach the finish line. As they arrive, Chitose reveals that Amain must find someone he thinks beautiful, while Mahiru must find someone she thinks is special to her. As a result, everyone is stunned, including Amain. After the competition, the boys approach him and scold him for being so close to their angel. Amain, on the other hand, is uninterested in their angel because he is only interested in Mahiru Shina. Mahiru soon enters the classroom and chastises them for their rude behavior toward Amain. She also tells them that she admires his gentle personality, and the boys apologize to him. While Amain is struggling to find the right words for her, Mahiru enters his apartment and sits right next to him, where she apologizes for causing him trouble at school. Amain, on the other hand, apologizes for being a coward and pretends to ignore her feelings. He then makes a sudden move and expresses his love for her, which he never expected to be able to do. He also promises her that he will rise to her level and become a better man for her. Finally, Amain asks Mahiru to be his girlfriend, which she happily accepts and hugs him. That's a wrap. Thank you for watching.